In today's fast evolving business landscape, while the fundamentals remain timeless, advancements in technology, the rise of remote work, and global opportunities are reshaping how we operate in a new way of doing business. Yet in the midst of this transformation, our core values stand as the bedrock of integrity, guiding us in navigating this new era of business. So in this episode, Greg and I together, we explore why we need to approach business in a whole new way and how core foundational principles continue to matter more now than ever. This podcast is brought to you by DJ Works Media with resources and ideas for you at mid-career or halftime of life. Check out our online courses where we want you to not only start, but finish. Books available in all versions and songs available for immediate download with sheet music and instrumental accompaniment tracks. Our musicals are family-friendly with great music that's memorable and inspiring. Sign up at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter for weekly updates. Now to our episode. Well, hello, here we are together. Greg, thank you for joining me today.
Sure.
This is always a pleasure to have him with me. Once a month. I'd get you here more if I could, but driving it. But no, he had such insight. And we thought today would be really important, focusing on a course actually that I've put out, A New Way of Doing Business. But I kind of wanted to revisit some of the main points in that and why put out courses, especially a course like this, and some of those fundamental principles. And one of your superpowers, your super gifts, is like an interview format, and he asks some really insightful questions. So he said he would kind of interview me on some of those. So I am hoping that I'm going to be able to do a good enough job. And if I don't, I know you will elaborate. Anyway.
So we were talking a couple of weeks ago about her new course. And I just started asking questions like what she was hoping people would get out of it, what she was feeling that, generated the need then to produce this new course. And in the process of asking questions, we just came up with the idea of this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what we're going to do. She's got a new course called A New Way of Doing Business. And really where it flowed from is that, with the introduction of new technologies like AI, automation software that is so inexpensive, new ways to track current clients and stay in touch and follow up with them. Those things make some of our old school ways of doing stuff just different.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd. It's the same business, but you can use technology now if you know how to use it. Debbie knows how to use it. And so she thought she'd teach a course on how to use it. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, why don't we start with the essentials stayed the same, but the methods are changing.
Right.
How important is that?
It really is important to take away the fear of technology. And it's like, okay, things are moving so fast. Well, they are. And it's interesting when people approach a course like this, they want to immediately just go to the technology. Oh, here, I want that automate. I want to know all about this. But the fundamentals are really important. They don't go away.
So knowing how to run a business still matters.
It still matters. And there are some basics covered. And that's what I felt, and I cover a lot of these because I was in the gig economy for so long. Right. I didn't know all of those basics.
Right.
Nobody taught me those.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I was teaching college courses by this time. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I got a lot to learn. So that's that's why putting out kind of a course like this, but also to review not just the technology, but all of those
And one
areas.
of the things that's true is people at halftime, when they've got their skills, their gifts, their wisdom, all of the experience, they still face mindset issues, just in the fear of trying something new.
Yes.
So now they've got mindset issues plus new technologies. So how do they deal with that?
Oh, not easily all the time. So, I mean, I go back to ways because it's so funny. When you feel like, you get on a stage, you do all of these things, but inside there's this little girl inside me that says, okay, got to take a breath before I get out there. Okay. And it's the same thing with technology. Okay, I'm going to try, this, all of this. So there's a certain amount of this self-talk, healthy self-talk going, okay, I need to admit that this is a little scary for me, but let me journal through this. Let me work through this. And also not to just be overwhelmed, because it's very tempting. All of a sudden, when you start getting into more technology, you just kind of keep going. It's an endless circle. Let me tell you, you can only have so much time.
So you can easily get on rabbit trails with new technology?
Totally can get on rabbit trails.
So how do you stay focused?
Well, there's no magic bullet on this. It is it's a constant evaluation. And this is what I teach, and it's something that I really encourage is, even quarterly I go back through those tools because I work with a number of tools. And some of them I work with all the time. Some of them I work with now and then. And usually I keep most of them, but some of them I've just let them drop off. It's not, is that worth me even going through the trouble? So there's that evaluation of where you want to
evaluate.
At least once a quarter. Especially with digital tools, I even do it a little bit more often. I'm going through those. And some of those tools that I have, some are monthly fees. So I analyze those more often, to be honest, because I don't want to pay for something I'm not using. So right. I've dropped those when those renewals come up, and I kind of evaluate those. And others, if I've bought lifetime, then I just wonder, okay, is it really worth, because I can cancel some of those still, or is it worth me spending the time to, time is very valuable.
Yeah. And it seems like, one of the things I know you talk a lot about is that when you leave one job to create this new career or the second half of your life, it's important to know what kind of life you're trying to build, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, how do you keep it? It would seem like if you kept that in balance with these rabbit trails that technology can take you on.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Again, it's really important to review that often because that gets into your core values. What do you really want your life to look like? When I'm working,
because a startup can be manic, right? It can be crazy,
extremely,
and poorly paying.
Yes, for years it can be, and you have to decide: is this how I want my life to look? For the next 3 or 4 whatever years, or if you are at the point of your life, which there are a lot of people when they're starting to wind down in one area. I encourage, kind of just dip your feet with a side business, kind of dip your feet there. So it's not this big boom, of so much. And and in fact, many people don't want to just make billions of dollars. They want to just have a life. They want a certain lifestyle. And that's actually me, right?
So does that come from your core values?
Yes, it comes directly. Thank you. See, this is your superpower. You were just bringing me right back from the rabbit trail. But yeah, no, it does come definitely from your core values. When I say I want to spend a little more time with travel and make sure at the last minute I can spend time with one of our grandchildren and say yes, I'd always try to say yes. when I can, that, my schedule can flex enough to be able to do that. And so you need to create holes, and enough of those that you're not so locked in. And that's the same thing with taking live engagements from me.
So in order to have the flexibility to, say yes to some things and maintain your core values, you've got to have not only flex in your schedule, but you got to flex in your budget.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to make sure on a startup that you're not getting overextended, right?
Yes. And this is such your area. If you've listened to any of our previous podcasts, you need to listen to Greg on finances. But
so if you got to be careful on not extending yourself either time wise or money wise.
Yes.
What are some ways to think about the transitional period?
Really,
because you've seen people like just stop and go 100%.
Yes.
And crash and burn, right?
And crash and burn. They're living in their car.
So what should most people be doing?
They really should. I really encourage, if you've already got one regular job going, everything. And again, it's that testing the waters. Don't just go, okay, I'm going to quit cold turkey, especially in the arts. People have done this a lot. Quit cold turkey, I'm going for it. Well, and then a certain mindset that's, if you've got a major record deal or if you're doing something, going on the road, okay, going for it's good. But if you're going to go, okay, now I need to book 10 clubs. And when you do club work, you don't always make money at all. You're going in the hole, believe me. And so it's just a different commitment there, and how to be able to put that forward. I equate it a lot with music because that's been my background. But just to make sure that you have enough. Some people have enough of a cushion, and that's smart too. If you've built enough of a cushion to be able to say, yes, I can take now a year. And I've interviewed some of those people that have said, okay, I have a year's worth of income that will support this, and I'm going to just see how this goes. And they can always then, in a field, especially if they're in the medical field, if they're in something else, they can get another job.
So that would get into kind of goals and mission statement a little bit, because if you give yourself a year and the clock starts ticking,
right.
So you got to know where you're going, how you're planning on getting there, because you don't want to spend a bunch of time on off ramps, and then getting back on, right?
Exactly. So, you have to have a plan. Yes.
Yeah. How do you develop that?
Well, in fact, that's kind of part of what we cover in a course too, is how important that is. And that's why I started my website, Goals.
Well, I know we talk about how important it is.
Yes.
Because, nobody would like go on a vacation without, figuring out their map. And while they may get halfway there and decide, hey, let's take this side trip. You would know exactly how much time it would take, how to get back, all that stuff. So if we wouldn't do that on vacation, why would we do it for the next phase of our career?
Even if you were on like a spontaneous doing a vacation, you've got the tools. You don't have Thomas Brothers, you have Siri. And how many remember how many Thomas Brothers we had? I think I had 3. So to go everywhere.
So what you're saying is we'd have our phone with us.
Yes.
We'd make sure we had enough gas. We'd make sure our car had, the oil had been changed and the tires were inflated. There'd be a few things we'd check.
Always. Yeah.
And so do you want to give away a couple of those?
Of course.
Okay,
of course I can. I'm going to talk about this until, I should say cows come home, because I did have a small dairy farm. I can do that. But it's very, very important to have a plan. Now, and goals. I say goals, but they need to be measurable. People set these, and it's nice to visualize where you want to be. I talk about that a little bit too with,
You mean what your new life would look like?
Yes.
Now, is that what your new life would look like when you've achieved something, or what your new life would look like in terms of your daily schedule?
It can be both.
Okay.
It can be both of those. Again, I'm going to relate this to performance. And it was an important part of rehearsal for me. As I was thinking about coming out on a stage, I was putting, and I had an instructor like this too, piano. And he said, if you don't have a lot of time just to practice your hands on the keys, he said, imagine it. Go through all of the movements. And so that's one of the things, and to imagine it. Okay, so what kind of, I mean, when you talk about a trip, what do you visualize that trip to be like? And where that's creating the anticipation, how exciting it is. And then you also want to be realistic, and because that's where your short term and your small little, I talk about tiny steps and putting a lot of those little things in place that are very, very measurable. How are you going to get there? How are you going to get to the top of that ladder? It's going to be one step at a time. You don't just, unless you have super powers that are non-human, is to be able to live, jump up to the top rung. And there's steps, and that's what you have to really spend the time doing. And that's the gut work behind all of this. It is a little bit of a gut work, but it's okay to spend that time because it's worth it. It's worth it in the outcome.
To spend the time doing what?
With the tiny steps, make sure they are measurable. Know where you're going. What about, so the flight to the moon, and now Musk wants, that's one of the things.
But it's not just where you're going, it's how you're going to get there.
Yes, you have to have a rocket that's going to really hold you. And this is why, Musk doesn't have the flights to the moon yet, because it's not ready. No, there's and who knows how many years.
Now, you were talking about imagining success and what it would feel like, what it would look like. I can't remember when I was a kid, one of the sports I played was basketball. And my brother and I would sit out in our front yard pretending we were Jerry West shooting free throws. And, and I would shoot free throws, imagining they were with the game on the line and I was going to make them. And then one time, my senior year in high school, I actually ended up in that situation. I had to make 2 free throws to win the game. And as I stepped up to the line, I can remember that it didn't feel, it felt like I had been here before.
It didn't feel foreign.
It wasn't foreign. It wasn't new.
Yeah.
It was what I imagined it was going to be. And because it was what I expected it to be, I made both the free throws. So, the power of, we hate the word visualizing because it's been beat to death.
It really has.
Used in ugly ways. But your imagination and being able to picture a better future. I mean, the founders of our country even did that. So, so you're saying don't miss that. Don't miss that.
It's almost like I've got 2 left feet. I mean, I'm not a dancer, but it's almost like you can visualize yourself with, a dancer or like those turns. And wouldn't that be nice to just translate that? But
so can we take that then to, do you imagine enjoying a certain daily schedule and or enjoying vacations, knowing that you got everything automated?
Oh, I love that when it's automated and it's going to work and I have everything ready to go. I can leave it, because we all know how much work it is to leave on a vacation and how much work it is to come home. So, I'm usually ready on both ends, and how that's really important. And also, I've kind of launching very soon is the halftimesuccess.com. To me, I visualize what that's going to be, because it's just being developed, and And I know it may take a little bit. It doesn't cost me a lot of money to do that. It's my time.
But you're not even imagining what it's going to be. You're imagining how it's going to feel.
Yes.
What it's going to look like.
Yeah.
What people are going to experience as they go through. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more than just what it's going to look like.
Yes, and it's more like the hope that I'm giving people as well.
Right. That's what drives you.
That's what really drives me. Right. I want to give people hope, and that's what the summit is all about. The book, The Summit, is all about that hope and how important that is, the band of hope to even get through the whole journey. That's what the whole Hero Mountain is.
Yeah. And we've talked often that the two big motivators in sales are fear and greed, or pain and dreams.
Yes.
And if you break down every sale that you make or things that you buy, I mean, from going to Target to buying your next new car, those products that you're buying or those services that you're buying are either relieving some pain or they're helping you fulfill a dream.
Yes. Yes.
And when you start a new business, all of your customers are walking around with hope that somebody can relieve their pain or help them fulfill a dream.
Yes.
And so you, as an entrepreneur, deliver hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't think that this is, iCloud kind of stuff.
Right.
This really matters. And that's kind of what you're after.
Right. Totally. And that's what a lot of products do. Actual products do. They make you feel a certain way. They relieve pain a certain way.
Yep.
And
we've got pain because one of our garage doors is currently broken. I'm not going to tell you how, but we've got somebody coming out tomorrow to fix it.
Yes.
And that's going to relieve my pain.
Yes.
So, even a service job can relieve pain.
Yes.
And
it's a good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is a good point.
Doesn't have to be a product.
No.
So I would imagine too that if you can envision enjoying your schedule, if you can envision enjoying being on vacation or everything's running, when things are going against that dream, that probably moves you to action.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If something's getting in your way of your enjoyment.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well,
how does that work to keep you coming back and getting what needs to get done?
Well, yeah. If there's, you're probably talking about a technological thing happening.
Could be, yeah.
Can happen. Getting done. There's just little roadblocks that can.
Well, I mean, just little goals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Technology wise, you have to understand that there's a certain amount of it that you just have to barrel.
What happens if an assistant isn't getting their work done as quickly as they need to in order to allow you to go on vacation and enjoy?
Yeah.
What do you do in situations like that?
That's a hard one. It is a hard one because I just kind of want to hammer a little bit,
But the point is your vision of where you want to be keeps you on track.
It keeps me on track. What that particular instance does is it adds more work on my plate because I end up taking it on and I'm trying to be empathetic to a point because I do understand.
Sure.
There's been some circumstances happening. So then especially with an assistant, sometimes there's just circumstances that happen in their lives. And so, but still there's expectations that I have. And if it's holding back certain things that I want to do, my thought is, okay, do I need to hire another assistant?
Right.
Do I need to, and I've done that before.
But I mean, it leads you into a process because you still need to get all this done because your vision is still in place.
It's still in place. I know what needs to be done by the end of the year. I know what needs to be done right now next month, I know what needs to be done. And so I've got it on my schedule, but I'm thinking, man, I was wishing this assistant did it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that whole enjoyment of automation and your enjoyment of your schedule, your own work schedule, as opposed to working for, that's part of your core values, right?
Yes. And using those and developing those, because what it does is, in many ways, it will end up freeing me up to fulfill my core values of being able to work remotely, being able to automate. So it's automatically going. I have a certain amount of stuff that goes out automatically. I don't have to touch it. And it works for me. I get the comments for it.
Right.
It's basically on social media. So,
and do you teach people how to do that?
I do teach people how to do that. And that's what's really funny is that people will go to that part. They want to go to that part first. And kind of make them go through the first parts and of all of that, because if you don't have these basics, that's why we're talking about it.
Well, these things are what drives the whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah. You've got to have a driver. Okay. Right. If you're going to get in a car and go, oh, I just want to automate, but there's no, if there's no actually the tool, plug it in or whatever, going to kind of end up crashing unless you come back to it and understand, why am I doing this in the first place? And actually, some of those questions that you ask, why am I doing it in the first place? It might lead you to the place to say, maybe I don't want to do this. Oh. And that's okay. Yeah. That is okay. Right. Especially at mid-career, half-time of life, all of a sudden, when you say that you have to put in how many like 80-hour work weeks or, all of this time, I don't want my life to look like that. And yeah.
And you know that.
And I know that.
Yeah.
I've done that. I've done that. Right. And I have a lot of product because I've, done that. Right. I've done that. Yeah.
So we're kind of at a place where we've covered what we wanted to cover. Do you want to give a tease for like whatever the next one's going to be?
Yeah, we're going to talk about about that. You're making me think. But no, about purpose and mission, because a lot of your core values are very, very important first. And your core and your mission and your purpose are connected. That's very, very important. I talk about this in my book, Stop Circling. You can see, if you're watching the video, you can see that right behind me in the visual. But and I have that in an appendix, in that how important that is, even as you establish your mission and your purpose and all of this. And when we get into the actual business part, the sales, all of that, it's all based upon, mission, on your purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? It all ends up being
so when
connected
you're having a frustrated afternoon and you're asking, why am I doing all of this? You'll have a good answer.
Yeah, because you've written it down somewhere.
Yeah, right.
That's what I encourage you to do. So, well, thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
You're very good. And I'm
fun to spend time with you too.
It's so wonderful for that. And I appreciate, I just thought this would be a good time of this as these are coming out, these interviews, we come on together once a month, and we will be covering some of those just philosophical points behind the course. It's not everything that you do in the course, but it's philosophical points. That why even people are putting out online courses like a dime a dozen right now, but why a course like that? And so we'll talk about some of the things that are covered in that. So if you can follow these and know exactly kind of what we're going to end up covering in that course, which is a very valuable, good course that's reasonable.
Yeah. Things changing as fast as they are.
They do.
Yeah, keeping the core principles, but being able to apply new technologies.
Right. Yes, especially that are not overwhelming. But again, I touch on the principles of the tools, because you're going to find other tools. And it's developing how many a day, like millions, who knows? So anyway, well, thank you all for being with us today. Oh, it's always a pleasure. Make sure that you get our weekly articles, and it's still on it looks like a newsletter, but it's an article that you get. I don't spam you with a lot of ads, but it's goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. I have a lot of other websites as well. Check out halftimesuccess.com as well. I think you'll really enjoy kind of the whole philosophy behind that. We will end up having, when it's full, 144 contacts for trusted resources for different areas, including a lot of areas. And a lot of those are vetted podcast interviews I've done too. So they're incoming coaches,
that's consultants. A great resource. Having vetted associates that you can call.
Yes, with integrity, fitness, duty, all sorts of software all sorts of things in there. So anyway, make sure you check that out, and we'll look forward to being with you next time that we're together, and I'll be with you back again next time. So bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show, and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.